Oh boy. Okay. Still learning. Give me a second here, guys. Give me 1 second. Let's put some music on.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. Band, take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie Elnick, the M Fanfare.
These two songs are short. I'm gonna let these go, and then I'll start. Protein, Trader Joe's. See, Alex is here. Miles Davis. See, 4 of you are here. I appreciate you guys being here. You could be doing something else with your lunch break. That's putting it mildly, Alex. All right. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like this stream. Please share it. And if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're a returning viewer and you've never subscribed, please subscribe. I'm sitting right at 430. So the next milestone is 500. So two of my other channels, my original channel and my science channel, have hit 500. My original channel has gone over 600. So Alex, no politics over here. Though I sometimes delve into those polarizing topics over on my original channel. I think Steve Dace from the Michigan podcast, he has a separate separate activities from his Michigan podcast, and I do as well. But speaking of which, thank God for sports. When this whole thing started, there were people who said, good, we're glad that sports is gone. People are too indulged in sports. People need to figure out other things to do besides sports. But the reality is that sports, whether it's, the college level or the pro level, or, if you're a fan of one of your minor league teams or your local high school teams, sports provides a distraction. It provides a temporary escape. Well, it used to provide a temporary escape from what's going on in our lives, and so it's very, very necessary. And in a way, it's kind of like going to the movies. So I think escapes are important. It's important to deal with real life, but getting away is okay sometimes. And so it turns out this week, well, the eyes of the nation and the world are kind of on Michigan, but there are reasons for that. But there are reasons why some of the nation, the eyes are on Michigan, on our school and our football program. And much of those reasons involve our head coach, Jim Harbaugh. So I want to thank everyone who's watched my live streams up to this point, and I want to thank everyone who watched my Jim Harbaugh video from earlier this week. I was conflicted in putting that video up because of what's been going on, what's kind of going on in larger society, and there are more pressing things. But I decided, you know what, I taped it. I might as well see if I can get some traction on it and some viewership. And that video is, Jesus, it was at 1,600 views. So I don't know if I just shot that good a video, but I tend to think it's because of the passion and the feelings that Jim kind of stirs up. And it's the passion people feel for Michigan football. And it's the passion that all of Jim's detractors and all the other programs feel towards Jim and towards Michigan. But if you watch that, I want to thank you for watching that. I opened that up with a little bit of humor. Before now tomorrow, someone said big game for Big Blue tomorrow. I think that was Alex. Big week for Big Blue. And Alex, I appreciate you being here and participating. It really means a lot to have regular viewers and guests. You came up on the stream the last week. So Jimmy. So it's been a very busy week for Jimmy, as some of you call him Old Khaki Pants, as others have called him Harblow, and Hairball. Jimmy's gotten it from all sides, and that was the title of that video. And I'm going to show some articles here. I think I'll start with two articles before I get into Indiana. I'm going to go for about an hour. This is my lunch break. But before I get into Indiana, I want to show this because this is what's happening right now in terms of the Michigan football program. There have been numerous articles that came out this week and that came to my smartphone just about Jim and how is this the end? And Michigan and Jim need to divorce amicably right now. And one of the people who's been leading that charge has been none other than Paul Feinbaum from the SEC. And Paul has been very outspoken about Jim over the years. And he was quoted in this article written by Kirkland Crawford from the Detroit Free Press. I'm just going to read the title. It says, Michigan football, Jim Harbaugh need an amicable divorce. It says Paul Feinbaum. So Paul Feinbaum, I think he's a Alabama media person. He's based out of the Southeast, but he's taken the wood and verbally laid the beat down to Jimmy over Jimmy's tenure in Ann Arbor. So this is one that Paul Feinbaum wrote. Let me see if you guys can see this one. My phone is on a bit of a delay. This actually came up in one of my streams. Give me a second here. Still getting used to using StreamYard. The reason I was late coming on is because I was trying to enable the wallpaper and the banner for StreamYard, and I haven't mastered how to do that yet. So I'm going to close this one out. Give me a second here. Remove. Share screen. This one. Now, this came up. in one of my live streams over the last 2 weeks. Oh, why is that doing that? This one is entitled Paul Feinbaum names ideal replacement for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. So Paul Feinbaum has been on a roll. And Paul Feinbaum, do you know who he suggested would be and should be Jimmy's replacement? Luke Fickell. It's funny how all of these storylines and all these threads kind of intermingle. For those of you who don't know, Luke Fickell was the last Ohio State coach to lose to Michigan. Albeit, and as a part of the Michigan fan base, that victory for us and that loss for Ohio State has a bit of an asterisk next to it. Luke Fickell was the interim coach, and they were starting a freshman, Braxton Miller, in that game. That was Brady Hoke's first year. And even with a veteran squad and an Ohio State team that was kind of rebuilding and turning over with an interim coach, that game still came down to a Braxton Miller interception to end that game and to seal the win for us. But I haven't looked at the rankings, but apparently Luke Fickell's Cincinnati team is highly ranked. They're ranked ahead of us. They're in the top 10. And Luke Fickell's not making the money that Jimmy is. And he is one of the younger, hotter coaches. So Paul Feinbaum thinks that Luke Fickell would make a good replacement for Jimmy here in Ann Arbor. Though one of the viewers last week or the week before said that Luke Fickell said that he wouldn't be caught dead in Ann Arbor. He would never come to coach here. So let's see. Once again, it's been a long week for Jim. And Paul Feinbaum, amongst others, has had a lot to say. And as all this was going on, I've done a lot of thinking and thinking back to when Jimmy first started. And I used the thumbnail. The thumbnail I was going to use for that, the thumbnail I used for my Jim Harbaugh video this week ended up being, where is it? Give me 1 second here. Why does this not? Chrome tab, application window, entire screen. Bear with me, folks. Application window. In-game live stream. Can you guys see that? Just give me a second here. I'm looking at the delay on my phone. I'm seeing a black screen there. All right, let me try this again. So the thumbnail I used for my Jim Harbaugh video. I'm going to close this program and reopen it. I'm going to close PowerPoint because I wanted to say this before I get into my Indiana analysis here. And I'm a believer in the power of visuals. So come on, let's keep our fingers crossed that this works this time. I hope you guys are having a good Friday. It's a brisk. I think I know what the problem is. Where is it? Okay, so it's that one. So that's open. That's opening. Okay, now let's try it. I see Aiden here. Appreciate you being here. Share screen. Applications. There it is. Okay. Boom. So I just want to share this. For shits and giggles. I'm a bit of a humor guy. So it's been a tough week for Jimmy. A lot of folks are coming for his head. I like the tiki torch analogy because I think it's fitting for the Michigan fan base, and I think it's fitting for just Feinbaum and Mike Valenti. It's Valenti. Valenti's been brutal on Jimmy the entire time, and I like this analogy. And I chose this thumbnail for that Jim Harbaugh video because I think it's kind of fitting. In this picture, Jim is in a lot of agony. This was from the first year. And the reason I knew this was from this first year in 2015 is because I could see the Adidas insignias on our players. And those are the older helmets without the little ventilation on the top of the crown. But when you think about the first year, there was a lot of hype with Jimmy coming in, as there usually is with the first-year coach. But Jim, at least in those first 2 years, he had more pop. He had more pep in his step. He had more. Jim seemed to be more invigorated. He seemed to be more energetic. He seemed to be that same Jim Harbaugh who was coaching the San Francisco 49ers that ran up behind Jim Schwartz and slapped him on the back. He seemed to be that same Jim Harbaugh who was at Stanford, who ran the score on Pete Carroll, on Pete Carroll's USC team, and where Pete Carroll asked him after the game, "Hey, what's your deal?" That's the Jim Harbaugh we had those first 2 years. And I think certainly he did things to cost us the game, that the JT Barrett first down game in Columbus in 2016. So maybe that made him dial it back a little bit. But right around 2017, we kind of started to get this Jim Harbaugh. I use this picture a lot in my content. I think it's a funny picture. You see Dr. Defense there barking out something at his unit. And then you see Jim there with his notes under his arm, and his head just kind of looks like it's kind of leaned to the side, and he just looks like he looks like he's in a bit of agony in this picture. So I use this picture a lot, but it's very telling. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And again, this is, I think, 2016 and beyond. You can see the Jordan logo on their stuff, and you can see the ventilation on the top of the crown of the helmets. So at some point, Jim turned into this guy where he was just a little less enthusiastic. You could start to see the pain on his face. And, this is Jim after last year's Wisconsin game up at Camp Randall, where our team got completely destroyed. And this is the Jim that we've seen pretty much since 2017. So something happened to him over the course of his 6 years here. And if you look at him now, he's grayed a little bit more. He's aged. I mean, he's middle-aged, 50, in his 50s, approaching 60. But it's almost as though all of this is weighing on him. And how could it not? I mean, he's lost to his main rival for all of his years here or there in Ann Arbor. I'm down here in the DMV. He's up in Ann Arbor. But he's lost to his rival. He's got a less than impressive record in the bowl games. He doesn't have a winning record against Michigan State. As a matter of fact, he's lost to them, 3 times, which, your in-state rival, that may happen. But I think 3 of those losses were in our house. There's always talk of him losing the recruiting battle, and I don't know what he's hearing as the head coach from the fan base. I know that when Lloyd Carr was the coach, he said that his family was getting it a lot too. So I'm saying this to say that with all the criticism Jim's got, he's seen it, a lot of it's showing, and he doesn't seem to be the same person overall that he was visually when he first started in Ann Arbor. And of course, I made the joke in my video, the Green Mile's one of my favorite movies, and you know, that they're coming for him, and he's cooking now. You know, he's cooking now, and you know, of course, you know, John Coffey felt what Dell was feeling in that movie, and Jim just doesn't seem like himself. So I'm going to stop this here. Let's talk about the tomorrow's Indiana game. So stop share, end show, and our presentation. I got 10 people in here. I'm going to look at some of the comments. Jake Snow says, there we go. Alexander said, black screen. That's probably when I was trying to get the screen share to go. So let's talk about the Indiana game. So before we go, we'll talk about the Indiana game. Let's take a look back, because I like to compare the statistics to get a feel for what we're going to see in the game tomorrow. After our impressive win against Minnesota, I looked at the statistics from the Michigan State Rutgers game, and what we saw in that game, what we saw in the stats from the Michigan State Rutgers game was pretty much what we saw last week, because in the Michigan State Rutgers game, Rocky Lombardi threw for 300 yards. And so I cautioned everybody, okay, a big reason that Michigan State probably lost to Rutgers is because they turned the ball over, okay? And if they didn't turn the ball over, they probably would have beaten Rutgers. And so what did we see last week when they played us? Rocky Lombardi. Well, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it so you can see for yourself. If you're just coming in, if you're new here, please like this stream. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. So these are the stats from last week's loss to Cal U. I just had to get that in there. So 27-14. Look at the stats. Okay, so these are the Michigan State stats. So against Rutgers, Rocky Lombardi, I think he put up, 370 yards. And so what he did last week against us shouldn't have been a surprise in a way. He put up 323 yards, and he threw for 3 touchdowns. And this time, he didn't throw any interceptions. So that's what happened to us last week. We all know that for us, Joe Milton threw 51 times. He completed 32 of those for 300 yards. I think, as Alex pointed out last week, it was deceptive. And there was that was a lot of throws for a quarterback making his second start in a young offense. And there was no running game to complement him. We know what Michigan State showed us last week with Rocky Lombardi's 323 yards on 72 of 32 completions versus attempts, is that our defense is vulnerable. And particularly if Don sticks with the scheme, at least that side of the field where Vincent Gray and Jamon Green are, our defense is vulnerable, particularly if our pass rush cannot get home to the quarterback and sack the quarterback and hurry the quarterback and alter his throws. If the quarterback for the opposing team is able to sit back there and play pitch and catch the way Rocky Lombardi was able to do, well, we're going to lose a lot more than 2 games this season. So let's take a look at looking at some of the comments here. Let's see. Jake Snow says the craziest thing is that he went 19-2 with hoax recruits, but 32-19 with his own. Yeah, and I've pointed that out quite a bit, that ironically, Jimmy in general, so taking Brady hoax recruits and also taking the San Francisco 49er team that he took over, Jimmy seems to be really, really good at taking veteran players who have not achieved their potential. He seems to be good at coaching those players up. But taking them from scratch and developing them up, there's something there, which is ironically a similar thing that that we tagged Brady Hoke with. He was able to bring in players like Jake Butt and Wilton Spade and J.U. Chesson and Amar Darbo and Chris Wormley and Ryan Glasgow. Brady Hoke was able to bring those players in, but he wasn't able to coach them up into a strong competitive unit. So we're kind of seeing the same thing with Jim. Jim has had some players come in. He's had some players come in. Now he's had some injuries as well, but coaching them up to their potential, we just haven't seen a lot of that. I'm going to read a few more, and then we're going to look at the Indiana stats from last week. Alexander says, okay, didn't know that. I'm assuming he's talking about Jimmy's record. We have some more folks coming in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I want to get to 500. If you're new to the stream, please like the stream, share in your social media network. Shares are free. Jake says, Alexander, it's insane, bro. Hoke gets should I say that online? I don't think I'll get taken down for saying that. He says, Hoke gets ish. I'll say ish. Gets ish, dude. He recruited some damn talent, LOL. Yes, he did. For as much as we made fun of Brady Hoke and as much as I clown him and use him for jokes now, Brady could recruit. So Jake says, and it's not just recruiting stars, it's about talent evaluating, which I feel his staff has a problem with. Talent evaluating, and my big thing, game planning and in-game adjustments. Zach says, Penix and Co. ain't nothing to sneeze at. I'm assuming that's either Rutgers or Indiana. Dre, you may want to look at the Sam Webb video with Al Borges. You mean Al Borges, Dre? Dre comes in sometimes. I appreciate him being here. He's a loyal subscriber. He comments on a lot of my videos. Jake Snow. Yeah, I feel he really has lost his fire. You could see it in Jim's face. I shouldn't make this joke based upon what's going on, but it's kind of like the presidency. They say presidents age after they're in office. Well, you could see Jim has aged, and his demeanor is a little less fiery than it was. Jake Snow says, agree 100%. G too easy. Thanks for coming through. I think we gonna wreck them. Okay. Cautious optimism. We're picked to win. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. If our players do a better job executing plays, then this offense could go far. The Lone Wolf 1921, to me, the 2017 class really hurt this program. A majority of those players either transferred or never lived up to the hype. Cesar Ruiz was really the only true star in that class. Yeah, and I think Cesar left early. Alex says, if Jim was a CEO, his company will never go bankrupt, but it won't make money either. Yeah, so I stated that in my video. His contribution historically, when we look back at it, might have been to get the program back up to a competitive level where it wasn't a doormat, but it wasn't in the top tier. If you look back at the University of Miami program in the early 2000s, Butch Davis got it back to a competitive level, and it was Larry Coker that took them to the national title game those 2 years. So sometimes that happens. Jake Snow, laughing my arse. That's a Jim Rome thing there. Awesome. Yep, he's definitely aged. We're going to look at Indiana in a second. I do think Michigan responds by playing their asses off. But if we lose here, that's going to be very demoralizing for our team. I hope we go out there and play focused, not emotionally. Okay, let's take a quick look at the Indiana team we're going to play tomorrow and how they did last week. Let's see. Let's see. I think I know how to do this. Stop screen. Last week, Indiana. No, that's the wrong game. That's the wrong game. Give me 1 second here. Games, Indiana. Penn State. Rutgers. Last week they played Rutgers. So they beat Penn State. Indiana beat Penn State opening week 36-35. Let's take a look at how their quarterback did. Their quarterback was Sean Clifford. In that game, he threw for 238. That's against Indiana. So Indiana's quarterback, Michael Penix. Penix is their quarterback. Went 19 for 36 for 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And then against Rutgers, who beat Michigan State, but Michigan State turned the ball over twice. They beat Rutgers decisively, 37-21. They went, Penix went 17 for 26, and he threw for 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Let's see who their leading receiver was. Their leading receiver was Stevie Scott that's their leading rushers. Stevie Scott carried the ball for 21 times for 81 yards. Let's look at their wide receivers. Okay, so this guy, Whop Fillier, he had a good day. 5 receptions for 137 yards. How tall is this kid? He's only 5'11". Whop Fillier had a good game. Then next was Ty Fogel, 4 receptions for 55 yards. Peyton Hendershot, 6 receptions for 34 yards. And then Javon Swinton, 1 reception for 17 yards. Let's look at how their defense did. How many sacks? This kid, Tiawan Mullen, got 2.5 sacks. Doesn't look like much was going on with their defense. But their quarterback looks decent. I'm going to go back to the live stream now and stop this. Dre says Penix had good touch on his ball, but lacks accuracy at times. But it could be to him having a shoulder injury. Let's see. Jake Snow says Rutgers can cause some damn turnovers. Wow. Jake, I think they're going to spoil many seasons this year. So again, I think it's going to come down to, I'm going to stop the screen share here. I'm going to throw the link in the chat if Alex or anyone wants to come up and just chat for a minute. Stop screen share. Again, I think we saw what the weaknesses in our team. We saw our team's weaknesses last week. It's a young offense. Joe wasn't going through the progressions in that game last week. A lot of his balls had too much velocity. Play calling and our coaches not figuring out what was working in game, I think, hurt us. And on defense, we'll put the link in the chat. And on defense, Don's scheme is Don's scheme. And unless he shows some flexibility with that, if he, if his front seven can't get pressure, then the quarterback is going to be back there playing pitch and catch for most of the afternoon. Let me do that again. I didn't go into the chat. Paste. Okay. My screen is showing this screen is showing a delay. My phone is showing that the StreamYard link is right there in the chat. If anyone else wants to come up into the stream and say something and talk back and forth with me about anything Michigan football related or tomorrow's game. So we're 1-1, and Indiana is 2-0, and they beat one of our rivals, one of our in-division rivals, Penn State, to open the season. So, this is not going to be a cakewalk. It's on the road, and in recent years, as a matter of fact, for most years, I've been following Michigan football. Going down to Bloomington is a tough game for us for whatever reason. Maybe it's that our time zone change. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But that's since I've been following Michigan football, that's been a challenging game for us. Let's see. It says new comments. Sometimes there's a delay in StreamYard in terms of the comments section. So I can't, well, let me look at my phone. Nope, no new comments here. Yeah, if anyone wants to come in and say anything about Jimmy. So Jimmy's actually on, it's a 7-year contract. So he's going to, he signed on for another year. Alex is coming up. So Jimmy is on for another year unless he waves the white flag and decides to pack it in at the end of this year. So, unless Ward Manuel fires him and unless Jimmy gives up, he could be around for at least another year. But judging how he's looking, I've asked this in my content, how much can he take? How much losing can he take? How much of the criticism and pressure can you take from year to year? It's got to weigh on you after a while. What's going on, Alex? What say you?
What say you, my brother? How you doing?
Not much, man. TGIF.
Yes. Long week. So you guys got a big game tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you guys are going to do. I know we had the conversation the other week. I just don't know if, in regards to the secondary, man, I don't know if you guys have it right now. I know, I think Dax Hill went down, safety, really good player from Oklahoma. I mean, it's just one of those weird years where it seems like nobody can play defense except, probably the top 2 teams in the country. I mean, everything is it's just a gunslinging contest. So, we'll see. I think that, there hasn't been a lot of balance in the offense. So, football is mainly controlled by the line of scrimmage at the end of the day. So, If you guys are controlling the line of scrimmage on the offensive side or the defensive side, I mean, it's, you probably have a shot, but it's a very low shot. And that goes for Indiana too. I mean, I watched a kid from Indiana play left-handed. He has some nice touch on some of his throws. He can be inaccurate at sometimes. I think Jake said that. But yeah, all in all, and he can run. He can run too. So he's an athlete. I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. Probably somewhere around 35-28. I'm gonna say Michigan. Actually, I think Michigan's going to be able to pull it out. I think they. I'm really hoping. I'm not gonna lie.
Alex, we appreciate that, man.
I'm hoping they pull it out.
You know what? Give me a second. You just reminded me. I was gonna show everyone the line for tomorrow's game. You can weigh on this if you want. I tend to go to the CBS. I don't know why I'm partial to CBS, but CBS is picking us to win by 3.
Okay.
So the majority, I mean, these are opinions. What do these matter in the long run? The players have to play. The coaches have to coach. But let's see, 1, 2, 3. So 6 out of these 7 pundits or reporters picked us to win. So we're picked to win by 3 points. But we know that they picked the game horribly wrong last week. And there are reasons for that, but they picked the game wrong last week, so the players have to play the game. So,
I think that goes along with the brand, and I think a lot of people pick Michigan because of the brand. It's Michigan, right? It's supposed to be one of the premier programs in the country, and I don't think. At this particular time, they're not a top 25 team, even though they're ranked as I think they're ranked 23rd. Losing to a team that lost to Rutgers, But
Alex, wasn't that loss deceptive though? I mean, because
it was. Michigan State turned the ball over like it was Halloween and they were trying to give away candy. I mean, it was. I've never seen anything like it. I went back and watched the game Tuesday because I was curious. I was like, how did this happen? And I was just like, well, that's kind of how it happened. Like you turn, it doesn't matter how many points you score if you give the football away like 5 times. I mean, you're gonna lose. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what team you're. It doesn't matter if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. They get 5 turnovers, they're losing that game. So, you can't hurt yourself. So, again, like I said, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that they're able to find a way to pull it out, because I personally feel that if you just play zone on them, if you play zone on them and you don't allow them to run, there's nothing that Michigan can do to win a game. Because I don't believe in the quarterback. I don't believe in any quarterback who's a first-year starter that has as few snaps as he has. You're going to have to prove me wrong.
And the rationale is if you play zone, Joe's going to have to read the field and make smarter throws?
And he'll have to throw in windows that he's probably not used to. I don't know if Indiana plays. I don't know if they do that or not. I didn't pay that much attention to their defense when I watched them play. I was more paying attention to the quarterback because I saw some of the highlights and I'm like, wow, like who is this guy? But yeah, he can spin it. He can definitely spin it. So I'm curious to see what happens. But I think that I'm basing that off the fact that I don't think that Michigan's offense is very balanced. I don't think they run the football very well.
That got exposed last week.
Yeah. So, and to be honest with you, I 1,000% believe that if Michigan if Michigan and Minnesota, all their players were healthy and they played straight up, Minnesota's winning that game by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I mean, the quarterback marched up and down the field, and I know Minnesota had a lot of people out on defense. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that they are. I mean, they're 0-2 right now. So, I mean, that's funny for me to say that, but Maryland's really good too. They're a lot better this year. I just think that they lost a lot of people on defense. Even the rushing, even like running the football, it was like there was just I didn't feel like Michigan really has had a rhythm this year on offense, really at all. I didn't feel that when they played Minnesota. And maybe it's just because of what I'm used to watching, where offenses that are in rhythm don't have people shuffling in and out. I mean, they get they get a series here or a series there, maybe 2-3 series in a row, not like 4 plays. This guy comes off, this guy comes in. Like I'm talking about in regards to like the running backs and the wide receivers. So I feel like they were trying to tinker and figure out what works best. And you kind of have to, I'm assuming that they had an idea and it wasn't working. And then last week was just corners just got exposed. And if you got a guy that can throw it another left-handed this week, I mean, if you don't shore that up, it's going to be the same thing.
Okay.
You got to shore that up. I don't know if you play bump and run the entire game. I don't know if you go too high safety, because I think they play single high. I think they play single high like Ohio State does. So I don't know what they I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I am praying that like they pull it out. I'm hoping that they pull it out.
Okay.
I don't think Jim will be back next year. I think this is it.
Okay. I have a comment here. I want to ask you something about X's and O's. So last week I talked about rolling the safety over to help out Vincent Gray, and you said that probably wouldn't work. Can you talk about that, or at least adjusting the scheme to have more defensive backs?
Right.
On the field?
So the type of what Michigan likes to do is they like to play a lot of man. So do you remember in, I think it was 2018, when Ohio State they like to play single high safety, almost they more like a 4-4-3 single high safety, and their linebackers were just out of position all the time, right? And they're just able to run on them all the time, primarily because you're not getting pressure on the quarterback. You leave the safeties out on an island. When you're playing single high safety, if you have 2 corners that need help, it's you want to section the field off when you're a secondary coach. So we kind of look at the field into like 4, if they're playing single high man, which I believe they primarily do. So the field is sectioned off into like 4 parts, right? So you have like basically you take 30 yards downfield, you divide it up into squares.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to read, if you only have one person if you only have one safety out there, you can't shadow to the other side, because an easy pump fake will move the safety whichever direction you want the safety to go, right? So let's say you have on your right side you have a receiver running a post, and then on the left side you have a receiver running a hitch, which is usually 10 yards, turn around, ball should be right there, right? If you fake to the left, you pump fake to the left, and then you go right, and that safety bites and comes down, you have one-on-one coverage and nothing but field in front of him. There's nobody there. So, I mean, that's the reason why you don't leave your corners on an island like that, unless you have a very good pass rush, which at this point I don't believe that Michigan does. They haven't really gotten to the quarterback, not for that style of play. Like that style of play is based upon your defensive line getting home. If they're not getting home, then you're just it's pitch and catch all day. It's just
Yeah.
pitch and catch.
Well, that's what we saw in the 2018 game. Dwayne Haskins, they were giving it. He had just enough time, and he was zipping the ball out of there to Olave and the rest of those guys, and it was painful to watch.
Well, that was different. That was different. So let me tell you what happened in that game. In that particular game, they tried playing zone.
Okay.
That's not what Michigan does. They're not a zone team. They are a man team. So what Ohio State did is they ran pick and cross routes from the second quarter to the end of the game. That's all they did. And Michigan never adjusted. That's all they did.
Okay.
Like you never saw a straight line pass. It was always somebody coming and running across the field, and Chris Olave is wide open, 5 or 6 times, and it's just is doing Chris Olave things. But I mean, that's all Ohio State did. Like, oh, you guys want to run zone? Okay, we know you don't know how to run zone, so we know like if you run zone, you have 2 safeties, and you have like a corner, and a corner, right? If you're running the receivers like this, all you have to do is see the one that comes down. The moment the one comes down, you just throw to the opposite side. He's wide open all the time. So it's like you're dropping it right in front of, and if you're dropping it right in front of the safety and over the corner, right? And if you have a go route, which is what they were doing, they would run a go route across and then across. So that go route is taking the safety completely out of play. Now that throw across the field, it's wide open. So you get it right over the receiver's head. You have a receiver downfield blocking for somebody who's now coming downhill. And it's an easy score. It's not, it's not rocket science.
Okay. Give me a second, Alex. So if anyone wants to, donate to the channel, my Cash App is there. If you're new, please like the stream. Please subscribe to the channel. I think I was at 430 or something. Please share. Please comment. I saw another Buckeye fan come into the backstage, and he left. So if you want to come in, you can come in. Just play nice. We have a comment here.
Yeah. So I want to comment on this because this is important. Okay. Michigan has 500 yards passing and 400 yards rushing with 8 TDs. Why are they not balanced? Let me tell you why they're not balanced. It's not the yards. It's the attempts. It's not the yards.
Okay.
Right? So if you have, for instance, a game, the first game, where you have, say, 100 yards rushing, which 100 yards rushing is absolutely nothing. That, like, you need to have, if you're throwing the football, if you're going to have 300 yards rushing or 400 yards passing, you shouldn't have 100 yards rushing. That's not balanced. It's not balanced. If you throw the football, it doesn't matter how many rushing touchdowns you have. That doesn't matter. If you have 52 attempts versus 100 yards rushing, like there's something that's off there, right? It should be more like 250 or 300, 150, 200. Like that's a comparable balanced offense, right? And a lot of it is in the attempts and situational football, right? So if you're behind and you're throwing a bunch of times and you're getting a bunch of cheap yards, empty yards is what I like to call them. They're just empty yards because you can throw the football around all day long, but if it's not balanced, like if you're up by 14 points, the defense they're playing not to lose at this point, right? So they're going to let you dink and dunk all day. Those are empty yards. Like, they don't mean anything. So
Okay.
you kind of have to, like, those stats can be very misleading.
Okay, so you read. I was gonna read Dre's comment.
Yeah.
You just read it. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, he says, man, Alex needs to be on the show a lot more. He's been on the last 2 weeks, so you have a fan. You have a fan now, Alex.
Hey, and make sure you subscribe.
Please subscribe.
I got 3. I actually have some friends that live in Detroit, so I'm gonna make sure I shoot them. Make sure I shoot them the channel. See if we can get some more subscriptions. So,
okay.
I do have some friends behind enemy lines. Yeah.
Okay. Those are free, folks.
Yep. Free.
We got some smack talkers in here now. Hold on.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No, they're not from your fan base. It's the Michigan State folks. These are fun. These are fun. I'm gonna read them.
Then you guys deserve that.
Yeah.
You deserve that.
Let me see if I can find the first one. This one says, y'all thought you were world beaters after beating Minnesota. MSU brought you back to reality. All right, Buckeye Swag, I'm gonna let you in, man. Play nice, man. That's the only rule. Play nice, just like Alex.
Okay. Well, like, we're not even going to get into that conversation until December hits. Once December hits, it's all.
Oh, man,
I'm letting loose. But until December, it's all you guys. Make
all
Michigan great again.
Buckeye Swag. Let me read a few more of these, and I'll give the mic to you. Michigan trash. That's from Anthony Williams. Ted Nahas. Where are all those trash talkers that call me a moron for saying MSU would beat you? Michigan play tight under pressure. Trash talking is a part of sports. I never did it, but reading comments is a lot of fun. MSU is no longer your little brother. He dropped off again. MSU is no longer your little brother. At this point, you should call them yo daddy.
Wow.
Let's see. Ted Nahas says Indiana is going to score 40 points on your defense. Better hope your QB can keep up. They're coming hard. I love that this dude is an Ohio State fan, but the run pass option is much more complicated than pick and cross routes. Let's see. Figures everyone would hide from me this week. A few more. Dre said, I subscribed and donated. Thank you, Dre. And then Dre said, MSU been MIA for the past couple of years, but welcome back, LOL.
On that point, they have not, because your man has only beat them once. Like, he has one more win against Michigan State than I do if I play Michigan State myself.
Wait a minute. Didn't Jimmy beat him
once?
No, he beat him last year, and then the Wilton Spade team, the 2016 team, beat him
once. One time.
He beat him last. He beat him. He did beat them in East Lansing one year. I take that. He beat him in East Lansing twice. There was 2016. There was the Revenge 4 team in 2018.
I think he's beating.
And then last year. So he got him 3 times.
Maybe it's once in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, that was last year.
Okay.
But each time they've beaten us, it's been in our house, which is why it's so egregious.
I mean, but that's what rivalry games are for. I mean, you go in the, it's like playoffs, man. Like, the playoffs don't start until you win on the opposing team's floor.
Okay.
Unless you're in a bubble.
Buckeye Swag, if you're out there and you want to come back in, I'll bring you right up as soon as you come in. I know you came in and you dropped off.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel like Michigan still took on if JT was short. I feel like Michigan still took on. I don't know what that means.
Let it go, man. Let it go. It's in the past. Let it go.
Dre said 3-3 Michigan MSU.
Okay. So it's the big house. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Sorry about that.
He beat them one time in the big house. Anthony Williams. I think Michigan's biggest problem is player development. We've talked about that at length thus far.
Yes.
The Lone Wolf 1921 says he has beaten them 3 times: 2016, 2018, and 2019. Okay. Michigan State. Okay. One more. Hairball has only won 2 games versus its rival in his tenure. Well, if you consider Notre Dame a rival, we did get them last year. I mean, it was a monsoon, but and maybe Notre Dame wasn't that good last year. But 0-50 against OSU, LOL. Okay.
I mean, that might be like going forward, yeah, because I think he's gone, but again, I know we've had the conversation. I don't know who you get to replace him. I honestly, like, I mean, I don't know who you get.
So
Desmond Howard's coming down to coach. I don't know.
So I want to ask you about Paul Feinbaum's recommendation. But before I ask you about that, you think he gets fired, or you think he just kind of throws in the towel and says, "I've had enough"?
Well, I think his contract's up at the end of this year, right?
He has 7 years, so that means the end of next year. Because he came in 15, 7 is that'd be 2022.
Okay. I think it's going to be a mutual separation. I think it'll be mutual. I had this thought when at the beginning of the stream. I feel like this is going to be a movie reference, so hopefully everybody follows me. I kind of feel like Michigan thinks that it's Megan Fox.
Okay.
Or no, Michigan is Megan Fox, right? Michigan is Megan Fox. And you want to be the Jessica Chastains. You want to be that upper echelon of actresses, but you're Megan Fox. I mean, you make Transformers movies. Like, that's what you do. And I know we had the conversation last week. I mean, you got to have a real look in the mirror about what you want to do. I have a saying that I stole from somebody that you make decisions based upon your vision. If clearly we understand that if you want to take the next step, and I'm not saying that like getting rid of Jim this year is the next step, but like you have to make football our priority. It has to be the number one priority at Michigan. If you want to take the next step, you have to invest in that. Right now it's secondary, and like I don't, that's fair. I mean, it's like the 5th or 6th highest public institution in the country. I mean, that's something to really hang your hat on. But we're not having a conversation about books and
graduation rate.
Yeah, graduation. I was going to say graduation rate or post-grad programs. Like, we're not having those conversations. We're having a conversation about football. And if you want to be in those upper echelon, you have to take steps to do that. And I think like you said, hiring Jim was taking that next step. But I don't think he can get them any further than where they are. And I don't think where they are is a bad place. Let me just say that. And that's not just because I'm a Buckeye and, you guys are like Jim's 0-6 or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is at this point. But like,
I guess you guys, it's 0-5.
Okay, 0-5. That doesn't even matter at this point. Like, outside of Ohio State, probably Penn State. Michigan's probably the best program in the in Wisconsin. But I think that he primarily wins all the other games that he plays outside of Ohio State and Michigan State. He wins every other game. Like, he wins all of them. So that's where the program is. I mean, the program's, I think it's in a good place. So, like I said, I don't think that's a bad place. Like, I would take Jim Harbaugh's resume as long as he beat. Like, if Jim Harbaugh was the coach in Columbus, I would take that as long as he beat Michigan 50% of the time. Right? I would take that because you're 10 wins, you're 9-10 wins every year, and you're beating your rival. Like, that's how you keep your job. The problem is that he's 9 wins and he's not really beating any other. Like, it's not favored for him. The record's really bad. So, but outside of that, I think if you step back and take a look at what he's actually done, he's actually done really well. But he's done really, really well. He's just not like he's just a B coach. That's all. He's just a B coach. And that's not a bad thing. Like, if you in any conference, if like he's Georgia, that's what he is. He's Georgia. He just can't beat Alabama. That's what he is. I mean, that's the comp. But like, Kirby Smart keeps his job, and you guys are talking about getting rid of Jim Harbaugh. So,
yeah, I'd say we're kind of back to a Lloyd Carr thing in the last, in the Jim Tressel era, where the program is competitive, but you're not beating your rival, and you're not in contention for the national title. So we're kind of back there. Buckeye swag. I don't know if you're trolling, but every time you come in, you drop right out. I don't know if that's your signal or
it might
what.
be a signal, because I think he was trying to talk, and as he was getting out the car, and it dropped off. So
okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna read a few here. Alex, he has allowed over 120 points in 2 games versus Ohio State.
Who hasn't? That's a terrible take. Who hasn't?
And I've talked ad nauseum on this channel about Don's defense. Let's see. Okay. The names I've heard for replacement are Luke Fickell and Matt Campbell.
Luke Fickell will never coach at Michigan.
Let's come back.
Not happening.
Let's come back to that. I didn't type hairball, by the way. My iPad automatically autocorrected it to that. iOS must be. No, you're trolling, Ted. You're trolling.
That's okay. Great. That's hilarious.
I think the nickname is funny. If Michigan loses Jim, they scared of losing 5 stars. Commit QB, JJ, and RB target Edwards. Let's be honest, Michigan is living off its past. When back when everyone was wearing leather helmets and playing high school teams. Okay, that's a bit much. They did live off the Bo days and the Fielding Yost days, but high school teams, come on. Michigan was kicked out of the Big Ten because it wouldn't stop scheduling high schools and clubs to pad the wins and losses. Harbaugh has you as relevant as you can be happy with 10 wins. Okay. Every fan base wants the national title, though. If Jim leaves or we fire him, I think the next best guy for less money would be Brian Harsin from Boise State. Well, we're hearing a lot of our fans want Fleck from Minnesota. Paul Feinbaum.
Why would he come? Why would he come there? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you leave Minnesota and come to Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our fan base is clamoring for him.
I mean, you might be clamoring for him, but like, from his standpoint, that's like saying, like, why would I leave Apple and go anywhere else? Like, that program is ascending right now. It's ascending. Michigan is kind of like here. Like, you're gonna have to like get that engine turned over, started, rev back up, and then go this way. But like, he's already in a good situation in Minnesota. Like, I wouldn't leave that. Not to mention, if I'm him, why would I want to leave Minnesota, go to Michigan, so that way they can kick the crap out of me every year? Like, because that's going to anger a lot of people up in that program.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be like, those players are going to be gunning for him, which will make it worse on him. So that's just not I just not in the same conference. You got to get a coach out of conference. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Anthony Williams says Jim could never be our coach. So he's from your fan base, from Columbus. Ted, Ohio State would have fired and moved on by now. Ted, you got some fire takes today, man.
Yeah.
Abdul Gaines is here. Ohio, I don't know if he did that intentionally. Ohio is beating Michigan. Oh, he's bringing in politics. He did this, not me. Ohio is beating Michigan in the political arena as well. Ohio did the right. See, man, you're gonna alienate some of my fans. I lost a subscriber for mentioning politics in one of my videos. Ohio did the right thing in having Trump win their state, and Michigan is messing around having Biden steal their electoral votes. Okay, he did that, not me.
Moving on. And he's the stat guy. He's a stat guy.
He's a stat guy.
He's a stat guy.
Who is this? Who is this fake Buckeye fan up here talking sound like a undercover Michigan fan to me? Okay. I don't think Alex is a fake fan.
No, I'm about to dig into him. I'm about to dig into him.
Hey, go for it. I'm going to step away for just a second.
Okay. Anthony, my fellow Buckeye, right? Buckeye Nation. I'm a Northeast Ohio kid, man. I lived in Columbus for 10 years. I'm as deep rooted in Ohio as it could be. Now, the reason why I'm on the stream is because one, that's one of my fraternity brothers, so I support that. Two, it's just not fun when you beat up on a team that cannot beat you. The best games come when Michigan and Ohio State are good. And although I don't mind beating them, I mean, I hope we beat them till I die. But I also want their best shot, and I want to play the best teams because we're the best. We're by far the best team in the country. I mean, we have probably the best quarterback that Ohio State's ever had. But yeah, it's not fun, man. It's not fun. Like, I need that 2006 where we're 1 and they're 2, and Beanie Wells is like taking off down the middle of the field, and I need that. Like, it's just not fun. It's not fun right now. I want it to be fun again. I need it to be fun. Like, there's not a Michigan player that I hate because I don't know who they are. The only thing I know is that they tried to make this dude who sat on the bench for 3 years like he's Cam Newton. And he's clearly not.
So I missed all of what was said, but excuse me. But I believe Alex is a true Scarlet and Gray fan. So I don't know why Anthony would say that. That's why Ohio State is elite and Michigan is the weird cousin. Let's see. Michigan is a very ungrateful university.
I don't doubt that. Like I said, I would. You're not beating Ohio State. Like, it's gonna. So like, I feel like ungrateful is a very accurate word. When Ohio State is probably 15 years program-wise ahead of Michigan right now. They're 15 years ahead of every program in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Like, it's not like I saw. So the best team in the past 4 or 5 years has been, outside of Ohio State, it's not been Michigan. It's been Penn State. And what I saw them do to Penn State last week, Ohio State has taken and I don't even want to talk about it, but Ohio State has taken a step that I am terrified. Like, I'm outside of like the fluky things that happened in that game. Ohio State should have won that game by nine extra points. They won by 13. They should have won by 22. Like, we missed 2 field goals. You had that freaky thing at the end of the first half, and they hit a field goal. Like that game shouldn't even been that close. But the steps that they have taken, like Penn State is like that's the measuring stick. They could have beat Penn State by 50 points if they wanted to, and I feel like they took it easy on them.
So Alex,
so I feel like the decision with Michigan going forward, like, they need to be very cautious, but also understand what you have, right? You have a mid-level program that you want. You're good right now, like, you're good. So you're winning. He wins 70% of the games. He's just not beating Ohio State and Michigan State. Okay, well, guess what? The rest of the freaking conference is not beating them either. But but he's beating you. So, like, let's be realist about it. Like be real about your program for a second. If you want to be great, fine, take the steps. It's gonna be 10, 15 years before you even catch up to Ohio State. Like, you're probably 2 or 3 recruiting cycles having to catch up to them, because that's how far ahead they are. And that's not just the Big Ten. That's like the country. Like, that's how far they are. Like, they're picking whoever they want. They just pick the best players. Like, that's it. And only 3 programs, maybe 4, get to do that in the country. And it takes investment, recruiting cycles, player development. Players have to see that you're going to develop them, that they're going to be able to go to the NFL. They're going to have to see that, over probably 2 or 3 recruiting cycles. And what I mean by recruiting cycle, not like 2022 and 2023. I'm talking about like the recruits of 2021 that will go into the draft in 2024. Like, you have to see that development. And, if that happens, over a period of time, Michigan will be playing in those big games. They will be playing for a college football playoff, etc. Like, they'll be in the Big Ten championship. Right now, they're not even getting to the Big Ten championship. So I don't even know why we're even having this discussion. Like, I don't know. I don't know how Michigan fans could even think that, like, oh, we're going to fire this dude because we can't beat Ohio State. But Ohio State's been whooping on Michigan for the past 17 years. That's how far we are. Like, we're what, 7? We're 15-2 over the last 17 years, something like that. That's how far ahead we are. And it's getting worse. So, like, there has to be a decline from Ohio State, and there has to be an incline for Michigan for you guys to even catch up. And I don't see Ohio State declining. So, like, you can either stay where you are or take steps to get better, but understand it's not going to be a 4 or 5 year period. We're talking about 10 years before you guys actually are able to catch up. And I feel like Michigan fans aren't real about that. They're just not. They're not realist about that.
Okay, let me get to some more comments here. We're at an hour and 24 minutes. If you're new coming in, please please subscribe. Please like the stream. Please subscribe to the channel. Let's see. Anthony says, anybody should inspire to be as confident as Don Brown when he runs his man defense. No to Fleck. No PJ Fleck. Ted Neha says Fickle isn't going anywhere but Texas, USC, or Miami.
That's a hot take. I like that take.
Auburn might try and go for Fickle too.
No, please no. He'll get creamed by Alabama every year.
Oh, here's a good one. The Michigan program will take a major step back when Jim leaves.
I 100% believe that.
Even if they get a young, innovative mind in there?
I mean, but what's out there? And so you have to look at the landscape of coaching. Who's out there? I mean, Fickle's off the table.
Okay.
So, and PJ Fleck's off the table. I don't know who else that's really out there that's, unless you bring a guy like in from the NFL, like I don't know I don't see anybody out there to come in and you guys make a splash. Like I don't see it. Unless you go to the tube and go get Desmond Howard, that's all I see. I don't see anything else.
Desmond Howard? Hey, Andre, thank you for the Cash App. Okay, so all right, Paul Feinbaum, if you're listening to my little channel, no Luke Fickle, and for all the Michigan fans who want PJ Fleck, apparently PJ Fleck would not be interested in coming to Ann Arbor.
So
Ted Neha says BS. It's fun. I remember the Cooper era. I want 20 more years of pounding Michigan fans. All they have is all-time victories that they hold on to. I want to take that from them. Well, we might not have it much longer. Abdul Gaines says, I like Fleck at Minnesota. I would not mind seeing him under consideration for Michigan's next coach.
Y'all got to let this Fleck thing go, man.
I think he'd relish the challenge of going head up against Ohio State.
You got to let that go. Like, coaches in the Big Ten are not going to coach other programs. That's just not happening. Unless. So, like, you have to be really successful in order to do that. So, like, I've seen where, we're about to beat the brakes off of Rutgers this weekend. But the guy who used to coach at Rutgers was a defensive coordinator at Ohio State. I'm so glad he's gone because he had our linebackers looking like they were running in steel-toe boots in wet cement. It was terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Was that Shiano?
Yes. But it doesn't – if I'm ascending in a conference, why would I go to a program that I know and I believe that if my team's intact, you're not beating me? If we play 10 times, you might beat me once. If I'm PJ Fleck, that's what I'm thinking. So, like, why would I make that decision?
Well, plus he's out there in the Western Division, and he just has to beat Wisconsin.
You come over to the East, you got to beat Maryland, who's going to be good because they got Tua's younger brother who can sling it. You got Penn State, who's always solid. You got Ohio State. I mean, why that? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make it it's not just about money. From an ideological, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. That's like me moving across the street because I can get a house for an extra $4,000 less than what I'm paying now. Like, I might as well just stay here. My house is great. All my stuff's in here. Like, why would I do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So Dre says DAMU and Wells running up the middle. LOL. Who's DAM?
So, no, we were having I was having a conversation with Mr. Williams about if I was a true Buckeye. And as you left, I mentioned that part of the reason why I'm here, obviously, but I support the channel for multiple reasons, but it's not fun when we go into the game and we know we're going to win. Like, we know we're going to win. That's not fun. And I mentioned 2006 where we were 1, you guys were 2. And then, I miss I want that where, Beanie Wells is just taking off up the middle, running 50 yards,
Yeah.
And I those memories are near and dear to my heart because most of those guys were Northeast Ohio guys too. So, I know a lot of them personally. But, I miss those things. It's not fun when you go into a rivalry game, and it doesn't matter what rivalry game it is. It's not fun when you go into a rivalry game and you know you're going to win. It's almost like you're just kind of going through the motions. I am salivating at playing Clemson right now. That's who I want. I want Clemson. I want them so bad.
Anthony Williams, I think Michigan picked the wrong quarterback. I thought Joe Milton was the guy, but it might it should have been Dylan McCaffrey. What you mean? It's not fun. It's not fun at Ohio State. It's a highest point in history. I don't care if Michigan is 0-12 as long as we still beat Ohio State.
I mean, that's cool. Like that's him. Like it's a different feeling when it's competitive, right?
Yeah.
It's just different. Like the not knowing is like, ooh, like, you know,
that
like
Tyson Holyfield feel. Yeah, that
it's a different feeling. Like
yeah.
like outside of when was the last time I thought about? I can't remember. It's been a while since I was really worried about Michigan beating Ohio State. It's been at least like 6 years, at least. Like
you weren't concerned about the 2016 game?
No.
Interesting.
I mean, in the game I was concerned, but I'm saying going into the game, not concerned. I mean, our quarterback broke his freaking leg. Like, he broke his leg, man. Like,
so you'll like this one, Alex. I think Ted might be a Michigan State guy. I don't think Ohio State is 15 years ahead of the Big Ten. It's about coaching and recruiting. Urban got Ohio State recruiting to another level. The Big Ten just needs to hire better coaches.
Where are the coaches, Ted? Where are the coaches? I need to know. Where are the coaches? Because the best coaches are pretty much solidified in their programs. So where are they? I just need to know where they're going to come from. Not that I don't believe you. I just need to know where they're going to come from. Because I think coaching-wise, we're playing musical chairs right now. I don't know where the next great coach is coming from. I don't see it. I mean, we had one, and he went to Boston College. So,
okay. Since we're an hour and 33 minutes in, I'll probably hang out for another 10 to 15 minutes. I might push it out to 2 hours. But if anyone wants to come in to the stream, Buckeye Swag, I think he tried to come in a couple times. If you want to come in and talk with me and Alex, there's the link. If you want to donate to the channel, I dropped my Cash App in the chat. If you're new here, please like the stream and please subscribe to the channel. Thank you all who are here. Thank you for Alex for coming back repeatedly and giving your take on the Big Ten and Ohio State and Michigan and everything. All other fan bases are welcome here. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're a Penn State fan, if you're a Texas fan, you're welcome to come and hang out. Go ahead.
I want to answer Ted's question.
All right.
When I say Ohio State is 15 years ahead of the Big Ten, Ohio State won a national championship in 2002. They played for a couple other national championships outside of that. And, you know, they did win the first college football playoff and have been back since then. Definitely got a raw deal last year. You know, I believe that I just feel like we got a raw deal in the Clemson game. The reason why I say they're 15 years ahead is because Ohio State's the only team that's doing that right now in the conference. We're the only team. It's in Ohio State. If other teams were playing for national championships at the conference, I wouldn't say that. But when you have one team that's the representative multiple times over 18 years, I mean, that's how far ahead it is.
You know,
I mean, a team has to step up to prove me wrong, because I'm just going by the numbers.
Alex, I was going to say, you know, it's fascinating. You guys have owned us. It's fascinating how you guys own Wisconsin as well. I mean, they seem to have the big offensive line, and they hang in the game early, but you guys seem to separate from them as the game goes on pretty much every year from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's tough. They're a tough team, right? So once you match the physicality, you adjust, and talent and scheme always takes over, right? And I mean, last year was the last couple of years we played Wisconsin. I mean, we got punched in the mouth, and then we're like, I don't know what was going on that game, but it was kind of like, okay, going to halftime, we're not losing this game. They are not better than us, so we come out and then we beat the brakes off of them. I mean, so this is not an opinion. I'm just looking at the numbers of how many games we've won, how many times we've been to the college football playoff versus everybody else in the conference, how many times have we won the conference, how many times have we played for a national championship versus all the other teams in the Big Ten. That's all I'm looking at. It's not, my opinion is based on numbers, not based upon my own emotion. I mean, those are the facts.
Okay. Let's power through these comments. I'm sure Michigan didn't care when we was 6-6 in the
he's talking about the Fickle year.
Okay. In I got the only win. They got the only win on us in the last decade. We wasn't good, and they was happy. Yeah, I've mentioned that game has an asterisk next to it.
And I think everybody knows that if Terrell Pryor plays in that game, Michigan's not winning that game.
Yeah. Combs, Johnston, and Day are elite at recruiting and developing talent. That's what draws players to Ohio State.
You forgot one person. His name is Brian Hartline. He has the top 3 receivers in the last couple of recruiting classes. Like, you should see the recruiting class he had last year. It's the wide receiver. The wide receivers this guy's bringing in is ridiculous. It's insane. It's just insane. You forgot about Brian Hartline, so I want to give props there because, yeah.
Anthony Williams says, I think Joe Milton throws 2 picks or 2 fumbles. I see him turning the ball over.
I mean, he hasn't shown to be turnover prone. I just don't think he's a natural thrower of the football, like a natural passer per se. But
well, if the right defensive coordinator gives him some exotic coverages, and you said he can't read from,
I don't know that he can. With the amount of reps he's had, I would throw everything at him and to try to confuse him. That I could.
Ted says Ohio State has lost to Purdue and Iowa by double digits. They are not that far ahead.
But how many? Okay, so yeah, every team loses games. Right? I'm talking about who's playing for national championships out of the conference. Every team loses games. Alabama loses games. Clemson loses games. Georgia loses games. Oklahoma loses games. But who's playing in the college football playoff? Who's playing for national championships? Out of the Big Ten, it's only Ohio State. That's why I said they're so far ahead of everybody else. Like, nobody else is even coming close. Like, when you go out of conference and play the major 5 conferences, we're getting smacked around. It's just the facts, man. It's just the facts. Like, if it was different, I would say different.
Anthony says Joe Milton played like a true freshman instead of a junior. Says a lot about development. Yeah, we talked about development ad nauseum here. Abdul Gaines says is it too much to ask for Michigan to be competitive to Ohio State on the level of Auburn or Alabama? Auburn has won 4 of the last 10 Iron Bowls against Alabama. Well, that's kind of a talent argument. You're right there in Alabama, so it's surrounded by Florida and Georgia and those states.
Yeah, you're in that Sun Belt, man, or the Bible Belt. Like, Auburn is a football first school, so they're gonna have those wins.
Sour YT says this game will be super close. I think he's talking about our matchup with Indiana. Sour YT says I don't want PJ Fleck. Well, if Alex is right, then we don't. He's not considering this anyway. Anthony says Michigan stuck on a Michigan man. So if a young coach, not a Michigan man, ex-player coaches will not endorse him.
Ooh, I said that before. If you remember, that was my hot take. Like, you guys got to go outside. Got to go outside. If you want to win, Don't put yourself in a box as to what kind of coach, like where the coach has to come from. Don't put yourself in a box. Like you're just making things worse for yourself.
Michigan will hold on to all-time victories for a long time now. I think that depends on where it is, because Ohio State's gonna look like they're gonna run it up until something happens.
I mean, don't forget the mercy rule is coming.
What's the mercy rule?
The mercy rule is what we plan on doing. I don't even want to talk about it. I'll come back in December and we'll discuss it.
Okay. Michigan University has a Michigan man virus until they get over that they will not be able to find a coach. Maybe not OSU wins. I don't like Luke Fickell either.
You crazy. Who said that?
Sour YT. Oh,
YT.
maybe Josh Gaddis. So Harbaugh leaves and Josh Gaddis gets promoted to head coach. How about that? Anthony Williams says Rich Rod never had the chance to succeed at Michigan because he wasn't a Michigan man. He was a young up-and-coming coach at the time, but never could get support of alma mater to build a program. There's also
Rich Rod
sabotaged them as well.
Rich Rod scared me. That is very, very true. Rich Rod scared the living daylights out of me.
Dre says Gaddis is my next pick for head coach. Okay. They could be staying in-house.
That doesn't make – I don't understand. I don't get you guys, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, okay. If Josh Gaddis was good enough to be a head coach, he'd already be a head coach. He wouldn't be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't get you guys, man. Like, I don't understand. Help me understand, because I understand. Please help me understand. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, thus far, I mean, if how our offense did last year and how it's doing this year is any indicator, he has to make that case in terms of how the offense produces. So far, we haven't seen the case that he's that much of a difference maker thus far. Sour YT says Cade McNamara should be quarterback. I can't say his last name. LMAO, whichever. In my lifetime, I've seen Michigan beat Ohio State. One time, he must be a young guy.
Good. Keep it that way.
I want Clemson to.
That's what I'm talking about. I want all the smoke.
Okay. Michigan will be good again soon.
I mean, they're good now. They're good right now. They're just not elite. They're good right now. They are good.
Okay, we have some new people in. If you haven't, please like the stream. Please subscribe to the channel. Those are free. 2016 was good. I wish we were that good every year. The irony is that those weren't Jim's players for the most of them. Okay, we were robbed though. Okay. Michigan should have won. Still stuck on 2016. Let it go.
Let it go.
Nah. Well, when the Jim Harbaugh story is written, that will be a significant. That to me, that was one of those moments where the program could have gone either way. And Jim arguably did melt down on the sidelines a couple of times, and they did call him for penalties in that game for melting down.
Are you talking about the 16 game?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he really, threw his play sheet up in the air, and headset came off, and so.
Listen, man. Great to have emotion. I'm here for it, but you gotta grow a pair, show some restraint, because your players feed off of your own energy.
Anthony says I wasn't concerned about 2016 either.
I mean, not going into the game. I mean, I didn't know that JT Bear was going to be as good as he was, but I definitely welcomed it.
To answer your question, they are in the SEC. That's probably referring to Alabama and Auburn. Our only chance Michigan beats Ohio State is if OSU treat us like they did to Purdue. Ted says when those teams lose, they don't lose by double digits. We're almost at the end here. When those teams lose, they don't. I think I just read that one. All it takes is a school to get a top 5 recruiting class a few years in a row to turn the program around. Ole Miss, Texas, A&M, LSU, et cetera, et cetera. It's been done before. Programs can flip from worst to first. I'm going to go through these 2 more, Alex, and then you can respond to that. Earl Worley, Don Brown's defense is only good when we play mediocre offenses. Agree. And then finally, Wilton Speight had 3 turnovers against OSU in 2016. You can't expect a win to win big games when you play like that. Yep, it's the Jimmy Johnson, Miami, Notre Dame thing on the road. You can't do that on the road against your rival. You want to respond to what Ted's last comment? Alex?
Okay, so we're not going to talk about LSU because LSU won a national championship with Cam Newton. That was not long ago, right? Did he put in there Texas A&M?
I think so.
He put Empress U in there.
Or maybe that's either A&M or it's and LSU.
Texas hasn't been good since arguably the greatest quarterback of all time has played for them, and that was Vince Young. College quarterback. Vince Young was ridiculous. He was like a cheat code. That was probably 15 years ago. They haven't been good then. When has Ole Miss been good? So, okay, when I say good, I mean competing for national competing for national championships. I don't know what Ted is talking about because the only team that's competing for national championships is LSU, and they're doing that on a regular basis every five years. They pop up, Alabama takes over. It's kind of like a wheel. Like you have Alabama, you have LSU. You have Alabama, you have LSU. You have Georgia, you have Alabama, you have LSU. Like those programs flip and flop. I don't know. If he said Empress MU, he should not be allowed back on this channel. And I would never want to get rid of Empress MU. I'm praying that that's an and, not Texas A&M.
Yeah, they weren't decent until they had Johnny Manziel those 1 to 2 years. I mean, yeah.
Like when I say 15 years ahead means playing for national championships arguably every year and winning your conference every single year. Like that's what Ohio State does. That's what Clemson does. That's what Oklahoma does. That's what Alabama does. They are the representatives for every single one of those conferences outside of a random year for Georgia or a random year from LSU. But outside of that, they're the representatives for the conferences. They're the top programs in the country. If you want, I'm saying like Ohio State is a top 3 program in the country. Like that's what we're measuring this by. We're 15 years ahead of every other team being a top 3 program in the country. I'll just put it like that. And if you want to argue that point, fine. But I don't think you can.
Okay. So we're going to go for about 10 more minutes. Ted came back with one more take, but Alex, you have there's another question here. So Ohio State is clearly ahead of Michigan, but do you think Michigan isn't elite like OSU, Clemson, Bama due to higher academic standards? We're back to the academic standards piece.
No, I don't. Because football players aren't stupid, and I hate that stipulation. Football play, like I don't. For people who have played football, they understand how actually intelligent you have to be to play. I hate that argument. I hate it. It drives me insane. All that says is that you're not doing your job. Stop making excuses. Not you, Ted, but I'm saying like the people who say that, stop making excuses. The program has to get it done. It doesn't matter what the academic standards are. Like, I mean, we're like, people graduate from Michigan every day in like TV or like education. I mean, it's not Harvard. It's not Yale. I mean, it's elite. Like, let's not joke, but like, these kids aren't stupid. You guys are getting good recruits. You just don't develop them. Like, it's not, this is not a like, you guys aren't good enough to get players in. You guys get the players in. You just don't do anything with them when they get there. And the latest version of that was Rashad Gary.
Rashad Gary.
Number 1 player in the country. Does nothing for 3 years and leaves. You know why he left after the 3rd year? Because he knows he wasn't going to do anything in the 4th year. He was waiting to get out of there.
JR says, great point, and think about how teams like Clemson got over the hump without top recruiting classes.
But Michigan has they have top 10 recruiting classes. That's my point. Like, if you guys go back and do a little research, Michigan has had top 10 recruiting classes for the past like 4 or 5 years. But when the players get there, they're just not developed. They're just not. They're not developed, which is why a lot of them end up leaving. Or try to leave early. Like a lot of Michigan players that actually get drafted have to stay 4 years in order to get enough tape to get drafted. Like, they're not leaving after year 3 because they're not getting developed at that rate.
Okay. Ted, you're good for you're definitely good for discussion here. At least no sports college teams jump all the time. I think he's saying they get better all the time.
I mean, I hope so. I just would like to beat Michigan when they're number 1 or 2. It makes me feel tingly inside.
Let's see. Okay, we don't get Luke first.
Leave Luke alone. He's not coming.
But
Get
I still
it
have
through your thick skulls. He's not coming. Why would I go to Michigan if I have Cincinnati in the top 10 or the top 15 every year? Why would I want to go to Michigan? I'm doing that at Cincinnati. Like, why would I want to go to Michigan?
Earl says, I still have faith in Harbaugh, in Jim Harbaugh.
Good. Somebody has to.
Why Luke over Matt Campbell? Where's Matt Campbell? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
JR, tell us in the chat where Matt Campbell is. Abdul Gain says the Bosa brothers, Zeke, Chase Young, Okuda, those players jumped off the page watching them at Ohio State. I'm trying to think of the last U of M player to have the level of impact those OSU guys had.
Mario Manningham.
Mario Manningham
comes to my brain, my head. Mario Manningham. I hated that dude. I hated him because he was so good.
And he's an Ohio kid.
Yes, he is.
Ted says Texas A&M had done bad in the Big 12, then went to the SEC and became a top 5 program. Now, was that because Johnny Manziel jumped in there for that short period of time, or Ted also says Mizzou won the SEC East for Christ's sake. You shouldn't.
I'm not commenting on Empress AMU. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I'm not.
Ted is feeling it today, man.
I'm not. Whatever he's drinking, shoot me some.
Okay, so we're gonna power through a few more, and then I'll shut it down. JR says, "What's your take on what Rich Rod said?" I don't know what Rich Rod said. I think
he's talking about, like, I know when Rich Rod was at Michigan, he didn't have a lot of support. From the people at that university. I personally feel like Rich Rod was definitely ahead of his time. I think, the fact that I remember Tate Forcier's name says enough. Like, Denard Robinson and Tate Forcier, those dudes, scary.
Okay.
That's all I got to say. He was ahead of his time. I personally feel like that he got a raw deal at Michigan. I feel like he got a raw deal.
Yeah. And Johnny Bacon wrote that Lloyd, as much as I like Lloyd didn't help him on the way out.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Got some new folks in here. Please like the stream if you haven't. Please subscribe. I'm driving down the field towards 500. Help me get to 500. Newton Rhodes says the Buckeye guy exhibits the same arrogance Michigan did, which stoked the hatred even more. OSU, please be humble, respectful, and talented of a talented opponent, and never let these America haters win again.
I don't know what that is.
That's the second half, probably partly politics.
Yeah.
But the first part was
so arrogant. No, I'm
I
not.
don't think Alex is arrogant.
I'm not arrogant. I have consistently and will consistently say again, I like beating Michigan when they're good. It's not fun going into a game that you know that you can win, that you know that you're going to win. That's not fun. It's just not. I mean, for me, for other people, can't speak for them. For me, it's not fun. I feel like, again, I'll say it again, the best time in the world to me was at the 06 game. Ohio State was 1, Michigan was 2. It was like 15 degrees. I don't even like the cold, but I was at the shoot for that game. It was the best experience probably of my life when it comes to college football. I would love to relive that at Michigan's expense, obviously, but I would love to relive that. So never arrogant. I just look at numbers and I'm just the messenger. I just repeat what the numbers say.
If you want to see some arrogant Ohio State fans, go take a look under my Josh Gaddis video about his choice words for Ohio State. They came out for that one. JR says, dude, I'm agreeing with you. It's coaching issues. Abdul Gain says Michigan has a top recruiting class for 2021 right now. Ted Nahas says, exactly, my point, JR. Newton Rhodes, nothing will ever change unless Don Brown is gone. We've known that for a long time. Please, long live Don. Well, Jim's very loyal to his assistants and to whomever Jim is sold out for, he's very loyal to them. So he will.
You know who's not loyal to their assistants?
Who's that?
Ohio State. They will get you up out of here with the quickness if you're not getting the job done. You gotta go. Greg Schiano, gotta go. Like
they cut
Oklahoma, you gotta go. Get them out of here. We need dudes that are going to get the job. If you're not getting the job done, you're out of here. We don't play that. I mean, we'll make sure you get a job somewhere else, but you just can't stay here. You can't stay here.
Alexander Anstead says Michigan develops players, but not elite players. Rare first round picks. There are more 4th to 7th round picks. OSU gets guys who buy into the program and stay 4 years, like Wade, or they go in the first round.
Wrong. You're completely wrong. You're so wrong, it's not even funny. We get guys that leave in 3 years. And if we have a top 10 recruiting class and you have a top 10 recruiting class, I don't want to hear the fact that you guys aren't getting better players. If when the recruiting class, when you're in the top 10, that means you're getting the elite players in the country. Like one player might shift a class from 1 to 7, from 10 to 5 or 10 to 4. I don't want to hear all that. They just develop players at a better rate than Michigan does. Michigan does a terrible job at developing players. I hate that argument because the facts speak so clearly against it. So clearly against it. Just get the job. Like, you're just not doing it. Michigan's just not doing the job. That's all that this is. You do the job for about 8 years. We're having a different discussion. Like, you guys are probably just having your pick of the litter at that moment in time. But until that happens over a consistent period of time, over 2 or 3 recruiting cycles, it's not going to happen. We went from Jim Tressel to Urban Meyer, now to Ryan Day. From Jim Tressel to Urban Meyer, that's like 4 recruiting cycles. Like, kids coming in, going out, kids coming in, going out, kids coming in, going out, etc. Like, that's what Michigan needs to get to catch up to where we are, and they don't have that. They don't have the ability to just go wherever they want and pick a kid. Like, you have to show that you can develop players and get them to the NFL, because kids go to college to go to the NFL. That's what it is. It's a business. They're making business decisions. The reason they don't go to Michigan, the kids that come to Ohio State is because they know they're going to get developed and they're going to be able to go to the pros. It's just develop players. If you guys develop players and we're still whooping your tail, we're having a different conversation. But the fact that you're getting top 10 recruiting classes, you're not developing players, and Ohio State's still whooping on you, develop the players, man. That's what they're there for. Get developed.
Earl Worley says, better recruiting at Michigan. That's why Luke would go. Old Toby, true Buckeyes want U of M to be a good program. Old Toby, it's a Lord of the Rings reference. I like that. Never want to beat by them, though. Then the last one, 2016 was a great game. You had to enjoy that one. Yes, for us, up until the end. All right. We're at the 2-hour mark. I have to finish up some things here. Alex, who do you guys have tomorrow? Is it Rutgers?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why he's laughing. But Buckeye fan is always laughing. Alex,
it doesn't matter who we have. That's
doesn't matter who you guys have.
Laughing. It doesn't matter.
Well, see, Alex, I was going to ask you if you have any parting shots, but I guess that's a good parting shot.
Yeah, I got a parting shot. So like players this year, they get a free waiver, right? They get a free transfer.
I thought I heard something. There are some rules that they're doing for kids this year that they normally wouldn't.
If I was Michigan, I would go get the kid from Nebraska, the freshman.
For a quarterback. Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay.
Because what's going to end up happening is we're going to get Quentin Ewers, which means he'll be in the 2022 class, which means that this butt whooping is going to go on for at least another 7 years. And for those that don't know, Quentin Ewers is the number one player in the country, was committed to Texas. Texas stinks. They stink. They are the most talented program in the country, and they stink. They're terrible. And he decommitted. And then their top wide receiver decommitted. And first their top wide receiver, the top wide receiver that they had decommitted. The quarterback decommitted, and then the new top receiver recruit, he decommitted. So Texas is in a free-for-all right now.
Wow.
So we'll probably end up getting Caleb Wheaton, Quentin Ewers, top corner or top wide receiver, top quarterback, 2022 class, which means he'll play in 2023, which means that'll go on at least till 2027. So, I mean, the beat goes on, as my man Randy Savage would say, and the beat goes
on. For those millennials in here and millennials that, WWF was pretty popular back in the day. So you should look up the Macho Man Randy Savage on YouTube. Alex, thank you for coming through and hanging out.
Always.
Yeah, you're making these live streams so much more better. So our team takes on Indiana tomorrow. The game kicks off at noon down in Bloomington. I don't know, based upon what we saw last week, I don't know what we're going to see tomorrow. The CBS Sports line is picking us to win by 3. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go live after the game because I have 2 live streams on my other channels on Sunday. If you're new here, please like the stream. And if you're watching on the playback, please like the stream.
Subscribe.
It's
free.
We're driving down the field.
Burn 1 calorie and subscribe, please.
Yep. It's free. We're driving down the field here to 500, and you can come back and hear some more of Alex's expert college football recruiting and Ohio State takes. So I'm going to stop here. Go blue. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude, and let's see what happens tomorrow for Michigan and the rest of the Big Ten. All right, Alex, I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, peace.